Alrighty guys, Black Ops 7 has been out for a week. Let's talk about the game. Now I'm going to be sharing my thoughts about Black Ops 7. I'm going to be talking about the good. I'm going to be talking about the bad. Mind you, this is with me only having 4 hours of gameplay. I got about 32 games on here. I am coming from Battlefield 6, so a lot of the game I have not touched and I not have deep dived yet, but I have played enough patches in multiplayer to at least talk about the multiplayer aspect just a bit more and give my thoughts on it. Though this video may be an opinion, let's have a good discussion around it. If you have any good or bad experiences with Black Ops 7, leave it in the comments below. Let's be civil about it, guys. Let's talk about the game. Let's talk about what it can do to improve over time as this game continues on. So I'm going to be real transparent with you guys. There's going to be a lot of good versus bad, and trust me, I have been trying to nitpick. I have been trying to find some of the things that Call of Duty Black Ops 7 has missed, not because I want Battlefield 6 to look better, but because I'm truly tired of the gameplay that is consistently coming out where Activision, the devs, do not listen to the player base and would rather just kind of profit off of us based on our addiction, quote unquote addiction to Call of Duty. But I want them to genuinely care that Battlefield 6 is doing much more better in regards to sales and overall player feedback, and using that as a motivation to make their game better. So I'm not going to say these good pointers in no particular order from like the greatest good to not the greatest good. I have everything listed out and I just kind of want to talk about each bullet point. One good thing that I do like about it so far is that when I was creating a class, when I was creating my gun, I noticed that stats, if you want a specific stat on your gun to be stacked up, it's not locked to a particular attachment slot like how Black Ops 6 was. I think one of the downsides of Black Ops 6, it was kind of a good and bad, is that they minimized the amount of attachments that was there compared to like MW2, MW3, and they really brought it down to just specific, maybe 3 or 4 attachments for each slot, but they also locked the stats. So say if you wanted to double or triple stack and really focus your weapon on sprint to fire, or have your weapon to focus on ADS speed, or maybe you want to sacrifice, you know, the sprint to fire and ADS speed, you want more damage range, you want more velocity for the weapon, you were able to do that in Black Ops 6, but you were very limited on which slot you can actually stack that stat up on. The only time that you're able to double stack in Black Ops 6 is when you use your fire mods where you added additional bullet velocity or additional recoil control. But I noticed with Black Ops 7, with all the attachment slots, there's at least one attachment in there that is able to stack on that stat that you want to focus. The reason why I say this is a good thing is because it allows you to emphasize your gameplay style. If you're really that aggressive player and you want to sacrifice your damage range, your bullet velocity, and you want to just have the highest mobility, you're able to do that by double, triple, quadruple stacking these stats in the attachments. Another good thing is I'm glad that they still simplify the attachments. It's kind of like a good and bad though, because I like the fact that there's not 10 to 20 specific attachments that you need to consistently look through and find out which one is the best. But at the same time, in each category, there's only like 1 or 2 attachments that's actually good to use. Yes, you can use the other attachments, but it's not going to give you that competitive edge over other players who are using those specific 1 or 2 meta attachments. Second thing I want to go into is aim assist nerf. Now, I like the fact that aim assist has been nerfed, I'm not gonna lie, because one, it humbles me as a controller player, and it kind of makes me feel like I'm playing a new game again, even though it's the same game, Call of Duty, right? The feel of the controller and having to get adjusted to this new type of aim assist movement, it's refreshing. Apparently I'm the type of player that likes to go through the grind and go through that journey of improving as a player. I don't like the fact that things are going to be so easily given to me. I want to work towards it because that's where I find my fun in. For players who don't share the same mindset and they just want the aim assist to go back to normal, hey, you do you. I think I personally like it. It makes the gunfights even feel more organic. Like I see players actually missing their shots as much as I'm missing my shots. So it actually increases the TTK and it makes the gunfights feel more cool. But at the same time, who knows, right? Maybe this is just all the players getting used to the new aim assist, and once everybody has that new feel and that new change locked in, it might feel the same again like all the other Call of Duties. Now moving on to weapon leveling, I think the weapon leveling is fairly quick. Like even not using the double weapon XP tokens, you can get to level 1 through about 40 in maybe 6 or 8 matches or so, you know, if you're really trying to grind it through. And even then, when you get to level 1 to 40, majority of of the attachments that you are going to use for that specific gun, like the main ones that you're going to use, has already been unlocked by then. So you don't necessarily even have to max level unless you do want to get that weapon level prestige and you just want to grind out that 100% of the game. So the fact that weapon leveling can be faster and we get our main attachments faster, I think that's a good thing in my opinion. Now I also want to talk about map design. Now I thought, to be honest, I thought the maps were going to play very weird because of the new movement system, because of the wall jumping, because of how they had to make the maps bigger. Like, oh god, now the maps are probably going to be too big. But I think when you're traversing through the maps, it gives you enough breathing room in between fights, especially if you're playing games like Hardpoint, Domination, right? When you're going from point to point, that travel time going from point to point and fighting against enemy players, it gives enough breathing room to reset. We still stuck to the 3-lane map design, and a lot of the power positions that you would see maybe on the second floor, on the higher elevation spots, though it may look like a power position, there is always a flanking position that you can hit that power position, so it's not necessarily unbalanced in the map. And even when you're traversing to a certain part of the map where the walkway is fairly open, there's always going to be some type of corner or cover that you're able to get behind, and that's the reason why I say it gives you more breathing room. I know a lot of players have talked about like the spawn bugs and how the spawns aren't necessarily perfect. I mean, that's given with all the other games, but in my experience so far, I haven't had any issues where I spawn too close to the enemy players. I spawned on the wrong side of the map when the spawn switches have happened, so for me personally, I haven't had any bad experiences with the spawns. Now moving on to the negatives, I think the only real negative, and this is coming from a Hawaii player, every single year, ever since Call of Duty Ghost has been released, when they switched to dedicated servers, Hawaii players have always had it on the bad end, or basically any players who does not have a server within their region. Anybody that doesn't have a server in their region has to connect to a farther server, thus latency is going to be bad. Tick rates are already bad with 20 Hz tick rate servers, so the fact that they did not change any server quality nor added any additional server locations to make the connection feel more balanced with all the players, I think that's still a negative that Black Ops 7 has. And I also don't like how they didn't make any additional changes to the firing range. Like for a lot of people like me that like to do testing, they like to test TTKs, and I want to test, you know, characters that are moving, dummies that are moving. They basically reskinned the Black Ops 6 firing range to a 2052 era, and I think they should have done way more than that. And I personally think that improving the firing range is something that's fairly easy to do. I mean, look at Apex. Look at Apex's firing range. You got moving target dummies. They can move at a certain speed. They can move whether they're crouched. You have different targets that you can test for different ranges. You have different moving targets. You have all your weapons available there. If anything, you can just change your class. And I think Apex firing range has set a very good tone on how a firing range should be, in my opinion. And another thing that has been an issue for forever is the bonus XP tokens. Now, I know these devs, I know these guys are looking on Twitter and looking at how much people complain that the timer for these XP tokens still count down even during matchmaking. Why doesn't it count down during the time that we are actually earning the XP, which is during the match, during the gameplay? If anything, if they're worried about players not burning their XP token times enough because it's only burned during the match, why don't you make the XP token smaller? Right? If they're gonna burn the token time in the match, then instead of giving 15-minute tokens, do 10, do 20, then do 40. At least that way players can still feel that their XP time is used properly, and also you are not worrying about players hogging the XP token so that they can just burn through all the achievements and leveling. And then one more bad thing that I kind of want to end it off with, and it's a really more of a random thing, is I took a look at the mod M14 AR compared to like the AK-27 or the AK-47, whatever it is. Why do they always put my boy AK in such a bad light? Like, they think that, oh, just because it has a higher damage and higher range, that everything else on the stat could suck for the weapon. There has never been a game that I recall where the AK has been given enough love. It's such a weird bad note to end on. But honestly, guys, overall experience, even after playing Battlefield 6, I'm still personally playing Battlefield 6 more than Call of Duty, just because I find more enjoyment out of Battlefield 6 so far. I feel less stress playing Battlefield 6, but down to the core, I still like Call of Duty. So if I feel like I'm in a Call of Duty mood, I'll play it. If I'm not in the Call of Duty mood, I'll go into Battlefield 6. But other than that, there hasn't been anything else that has annoyed me enough where I want to scream at the camera besides the lack of server quality and server locations for a Hawaii player. But if anything, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did like the video, drop a like on it. It helps it tremendously in the algorithm. If you want to stick around for more Black Ops 7 Battlefield 6 content, please drop a sub to the channel. We'd love to see you here for the next video. But as always, stay pure, stay noble, and hashtag bring back honest gaming. Later, guys.